My name is Diana. My entire life I lived in the shadow of my sister Elizabeth. From the time we were children, my parents made it very clear who their favorite was. If Elizabeth pointed her finger at me, they believed her. If I tried to defend myself, I was accused of jealousy. Even my birthdays were turned into hers. My cake had to be the flavor she wanted. My outings always had to be her choice. When we became teenagers, things only grew worse. Elizabeth had no friends, while I was fairly social. Instead of accepting that, she made me her target. She lied about me. She lied about my friends. She even accused my boyfriends of flirting with her. My parents believed her every time. Elizabeth would smile while my relationships collapsed. She ruined friendships, and she ruined the trust my parents should have had in me. When the time came for college, my parents proudly promised to pay for Elizabeth. When my turn arrived, they said there was no money. They told me to get a job, pay rent at home, and maybe later they would consider helping me. But I already expected nothing. I studied harder than ever and earned a full scholarship. That scholarship became my lifeline and my freedom. College saved me. I finally built a life of my own, far from my parents' favoritism. It was there I met the man who would become my husband. Where I was quiet, he was bold. Where I cried, he plotted. He was my equalizer, and he would not allow Elizabeth to control my life anymore. When we became engaged, my parents demanded to meet him. He went to that meeting with a hidden recorder, expecting Elizabeth to pull her usual trick. Instead, he came home with a revelation. My parents and Elizabeth had made a shocking demand. They said they would pay for my wedding only if Elizabeth could walk down the aisle first. In a wedding gown. With pictures. With a cake. As if it were her day. I was stunned. But my husband smiled and told me we would use their scheme against them. We would agree, take everything they offered, and then shut her out. And so we did. My husband convinced them that nothing could be written. No texts. No emails. Only face-to-face. They agreed. That meant there would never be proof of their plan. We then began to bleed them dry. We pretended to choose the cheapest catering. Elizabeth demanded the most expensive. My parents paid. We repeated the same trick with flowers, with the photographer, and with the venue. Each time Elizabeth clapped her hands with joy, believing she had won. Each time my parents spent more. We called it back pay for emotional damages. Finally, we hired security. A professional guard was told that if another bride appeared, she was not to be let in under any circumstances. The wedding day came. Guests were seated. My father stood at the entrance, ready for Elizabeth's big entrance. The doors opened and I walked in. His face turned pale. His phone buzzed. Elizabeth was outside in a wedding gown, screaming at the guard who blocked her path. Inside, whispers filled the room. People asked what he meant when he said it was not supposed to be me. A friend of ours gasped loudly and ran outside to make the scene even bigger. My father abandoned me at the altar, but my husband's father stepped in proudly and walked me down. Outside was chaos. Elizabeth was on the ground in her gown, crying and kicking like a child. My father shouted at the guard. My mother pleaded. Guests recorded the entire scene on their phones. When my parents tried to blame my husband, he calmly denied everything. He demanded proof. They had none. And for once, nobody believed them. We were married without a hitch. My parents left in humiliation. Elizabeth was dragged away sobbing. For the first time in my life, I was not the scapegoat. I was the bride. Later that night Elizabeth sent me an angry message, calling me names and blaming my husband for fooling her. We saved every screenshot and shared it with the extended family. This time, the family supported me, not them. That was the day justice arrived. Elizabeth and my parents tried to steal my wedding,